story of the melts and the demelts. So almost all these statistical methods share the advantages and the disadvantages. And please, we all know that we must make the proper performance to all of these such that you continue to have the journey to the 25 marks. However, we said that if you fail to make the construction, the drawing, because part A is draw. When you fail to make the drawing, therefore you qualify for the 0-0. No marks will be awarded to you because of the failure of or having failed to make the illustration and the drawing. So they don't give you marks for the advantages and the disadvantages. Still, we had to look at the other statistical areas. So where we said how to calculate the percentage change. We said the formula is new year, okay, minus old what? Year, out of the old year times 100. And we said that others may use the current year minus original year out of original year times 100. And we said that even if the answer is a negative, don't mind. If it is even beyond 100, don't mind, because even as we shall have got the answer in the style that you have acquired it. So given that you have had the proper placing of all those values from the statistical table, that or in places where they are needed to have the right answer. So still we had to look at the issues on how to comment on the trend. Okay, where we said that we shall make use of so many of the adjectives that we shall implement. One of them was the use of the steady, the use of slight or slightly. The other was sharp. The other was gradual. The other was we have gradual. Then the other is we have the sharp gradual. We have the constant. And we said that all of these are used on both where there are cases of increase and also where there are cases of decrease. Now, we also said you must attach the causa. The causa, that means the subtraction that you make upon or from the values of the raw values in the statistical table. So, and we said that we must use where it deserves us to have the increase and where we deserve to have the decrease. A sample of the search was that we said, for example, if you looked at this, so that means all the answers throughout, if you are to comment about the trend, so qualify to be of the decrease. However, where there is the qualification of the sharp, for example, this, so please tell us between what and what. So it's not a must that we should use yes. There are cases where the values, for example, or the variables or the independent variables are either countries or crops or cities or minerals, etc. So please, and I said do not have the description from the beginning to the end in one point. So have the breakage, okay? Then also another point from here up to here. Then lastly, we have the other from here up to. So that's why one might say that between 1990 and 1992, there was a sharp decrease in amount of copper production in Zambia by, when I say the by, that means the subtraction. If you go to for example, search, attach the units that were given in the statistical table, in the heading or in the statement above the statistical table. So if it is the 1,000, maybe metric tons. So the causa must be seen, okay, that caused that decrease or that caused the increase in case we are handling issues of the increase. So the other, so between the 1992 and 1994, there was this qualifies to be among the adjectives that we have. We have therefore used the sharp. So can we use the gradual? Can we use slight? Is it constant? No. Is it steady? So therefore, we must know how best to use these words. So it's not a matter of having the presentation of framework. So we must have the true answers. Now, so if the whole graph only had such, so therefore, you only stop at the use of the decrease. We shall not make use of this statement about the increase. Now, there are situations where we might have the two. It is the two. Still do not start with any of your wish. The outcome, and the outcome is caused by the right use and implementation of the true plotting of the values in the statistical table. For example, if it is of the increase, therefore start with the increase. Point and talk. So there is we are commenting on the trend, members. We are commenting, and to comment, therefore means describe. If they don't use the word describe, they can say explain the trend. So this is something that we are now handling, how it is therefore done in the geographical statistics. Now, in this case, does it qualify to be the sharp? Does it qualify to be the steady, gradual? So avoid the use of the English words that they do not provide meaning to the geography, where others can say shooting. So others say climbing. Please make the mastery of these adjectives and the words that we are equipped with for us to make any comment or description about the trend. So if we have this other, now move to the R. So we have a point of top from here up to here, and also from here up to separate points. That's why in statistics we do not write S's. We make the descriptions, okay, in the brief kind of the explanation. So that is how to remind ourselves about the trend. So the other is the outcome of the values and the illustration are maybe causing the increase throughout. That means we shall not make a talk about the decrease. So we shall throughout have the points only explaining or describing the increase. But therefore, is there steady? We have sharp, we have slight, we have constant. So those are the issues. And I said, do not have one point from the beginning to the end. Please, we must have separate, okay, points that are brief, not short, and not in the details. Together. So those are some of the areas that we had to look at. The other ones, they can ask you to account for the above trend. So we all know, having said or maybe the description or about the trend. So they are now saying account for. That means give reasons for. And geographically, we have our reasons in terms of the physical and the human. Therefore, this account for the above trend. That means give factors or give conditions, both physical and human, that have led to the above trend. Now, this therefore takes us to the message in the statement above the table and also within the table. Is it about fishing? It could be about the forestry. Is it about transport? Is it about the mining? Is it about industrialization? Is it about agriculture? Is it about trade? Are we there? Is it about urbanization? Is it about population? So therefore, you must have the general factors, okay? About or from all these sectors and the others that may not be sectors, but as topics that we handle or use in geography. So look at they are saying the factors that have. It was fishing, you know, the physical and the human factors that lead to the increase in amount of fish production, and also those that can cause a decrease in amount of fish production. The same for forestry, the same for mining, the same for industrialization stroke manufacturing, the same for transport, the same for agri, and also the same for trade and others like urbanization among others. Even if it is population or population. So please, members, as we look at the factors that account for the above trend. Still, don't start with those of your choice. For example, if the graph had the two issues, so both the decrease and also the increase. So therefore, start with the factors that have led to that are responsible for the decrease. That's why we need to have a statement that the factors that account for the decrease, these are now general for all the decrease, regardless of whether it's light, sharp, gradual, constant. So therefore, they tell us the factors that have led to the decrease, which we can term to be a decline, but therefore we shall not cause or use the word decline. So we shall say factors that account for the decline, so the decrease in the amount of fish product. So therefore, these turn out to be unfavorable factors. And the unfavorable factors, that means both the physical and the human. Exhaustion of some of the valuable fish species, such as, are we there? The inadequate planktons in some of the fishing grounds, okay? Both the zoo and the phytoplanktons. I hope we have acquired a lot of knowledge about all these general factors. So therefore, first term we had to make a drive through the statistics, qualities of a good statistical method, and some of the statistical methods that we are almost to be reaching the end. And therefore, we had to come back to the handling of the topics in section B, because they also enrich us more into the statistical last questions, okay, to have the 25 marks. Now, when you are done, both the physical and the human, also phrase a statement handling the factors that have led to the increase. So therefore, never start with the increase, yet the outcome illustration because of the values, or the setter indicated use the values that cause the decrease. Therefore, don't start with factors for the increase. Start with those, the order of the message and information in the table. Start with it and also end with how it was ended by the setter. So as we account for, so I said and I insist that have both the physical and the human. Sir, yes, student, how many points would you have therefore? So I said have some for which are physical and some 5 that are human, making or catering for the decrease. Then also when it is the tune for the increase, also have the 4 physical and also have the 5 that are the human. Given that they are brief answers, although in the brackets they might increase or include the 6 meals or the 7 or the 4 or the 5. But remember that if a student only gives us the physical or only gives us the human, so you do get half of the marks. And also we shall be looking to see in what order the answers did you start with? Did you start with the decrease that were of your choice? Or were you supposed to have started with the increase? So therefore, you must know the right outcome and the use of the. And I also advise you to always go back to the raw values in the table. Whenever you are making the commenting on the trend, and also giving the factors, because you might find that your plotting was not correct. And when it is not correct, that means it's likely to reflect or to exhibit the wrong answers in the other parts of the questions. Therefore, you should not only have the illustrated statistical graph or the method as a basis. So please have the orientation back to the raw values in the statistical table to see whether the two match together, such that you have the final and the correct presentation of the right marks, so and the answers. So that's that. Okay. Then lastly, we said there are some questions where in the section A, the last where they can say assess. Okay, they can say discuss. They can say to what extent. Much as these questioning words are of the also too used in section B. So I said and I emphasized that we should not have the question introduction in section A. I also said that we should not have the detailed explainer. I only said that the phrase standpoint, which is always as usual brief in 2 lines or the 1.5 lines, so that it addresses what the question is in request of. The point of the question, if it is geographical, any of the eyes of the geographer when they cite or see a question or a word called contributions or contributions, which is the same as importances, which is also the same as the effects, which is also the same as the impacts, which is also the same as the significances. The same as what? The roles, the same as the benefits. Then I said we should have, even if they attach on the environment, such words like on the environment, assess the significance, the benefits, the importances of fishing, if it is mining, industrialization, among others on the environment. So let the word on the environment not confuse you, because all the deeds and all the economic activities are carried out within the environment. Therefore, do not think that you should only say bad things as of the negatives first and maybe so we do not have that right order. The right order is on and only always to start with good news, start with the positive, and lastly have the negatives. So this is something that is important in both the section A and in section B. We shall never change the meaning of the contributions, importances, effects, the impacts, the roles, the benefits. So always, whether section A or section B, we must start with the right order, positive, good things first, then the negatives last. And we said that the answers should be brief. Clear? So given that this is section A, where it is a mathematical question and a factual number. Clear? So we said that always and always do not go beyond the 12 points. So given that we normally indicate the 0.6 meals, the 0.7, not the 8, we can never go beyond the 9 marks. Given that you have already made the scoring in the part A, the 10 meals, the advantages, disadvantages for part B, the C, and also lastly, we shall see the total number of the meals coming to the 25. So lastly, in section A, we also said that they can ask about the factors. Still, never change the what geographers understand by the term factors, which is the same as conditions. So we shall still have the presentation of both the physical and the hue. However, if they said to what extent questions, to what extent questions. Such questions now you must go by the request of the question by the setter. They might say that to what extent have the physical factors. As usual, whether section A or section B, we must start with the request of the question, saying that to what extent have the physical factors favored the development of the fishing in. Then they, however, when we are done, maybe having presented the 8, then they, however, also have you can have the 8. So please this is brief such that we see you making the right kind of but do not write the 20 points or the 25 or the plus. So lastly are the problems. And with problems, still we shall have the physical problems and the human problems. So I advise you to begin with the questions of to what extent order. So please, if they had said what else have the human factors, therefore start with the human, because it's the first say what category of the answers in the question that you need to start with. Then lastly have the last category of the answers that have not been presented or said within the question. So those were some of the areas for approach guidance, okay, as far as section A is concerned. Now, we need also to remind ourselves about the areas in section A that we kept on mentioning. What were they? So we had to look at the first areas were the line graphs. So where we see the other name of the line graphs is the same as the curve graphs. Why term to be the curve graphs? Because as you make the plotting, so finally make the illustration of the curving, hence the curve graphs. Now there are a number of them that we had to look at, please. So understand them. So we had the simple line graph, The other was comparative line graph. The other name for the comparative line graph was the multiple line graph. Another name for the multiple line graph was the combined line graph. And lastly was the other name, apart from multiple comparative groups. So those are basically the major names. So how should it be? We said that we should let the both sides, if these were the goalposts, they should not be touched. So therefore we leave the hanging on both sides. If that was the illustration for my first plotting of a particular commodity, then there are the other like that. Then we said what is the difference here and what are the qualities of a good comparative line graph. We said that the lines themselves should be shaded. They should be shaded. So, but we should let the both sides of the lines remain hanging. Reasons are that the labeling of the commodities is the independent variables is always on within the mid of the 2 centimeters. Then coming to this, how could this, what made the cause of such an illustration? So we must have a multiple table. A multiple table is a table that has diversity, a number of values for compulsion in the different kind of the variables that are the independent variables. So the other was the first one, where we said we have a simple line graph. How simple it is that we make use of the simple table. So whereby every commodity is plotted once. And in appearance still we shall have let the line remain hanging. And we shall make use of the rulers as we draw the lines. The reasons are we do not have temperature information within the statistical table. Then, sir, yes, student. When should we use the cumulative table? That is only and only in the cumulative line graph or the compound line graph. Clear? Now, in this, you have seen the one-dimension table causing one-dimension illustration. More than one dimension, a multiple table for compulsions, therefore having the outcome illustration and the exhibition of the lines on the graph, okay, shaded differently, and still it's not a must that they should cross each other. So they may cross each other or they may not cross each other. What is a must is only to see the lines themselves that are shaded, okay, to make the reflection and separate, okay, and is a illustration and an interpretation of the information in the illustrated statistical method. There comes in the compound line graph. So now here, the goalposts that we're avoiding here, in this case, is an issue here. So we must start the labeling at the very, and also we end at the very. Clear? So that means that we shall start the plotting at the very, then lastly there, then as you jog. So that means there should not be any gap or space that is left on the either ends of the line. Then lastly, we make the shading below every line that has been plotted. Then therefore we make use of the key. Then coming to the key, we therefore also indicate that maybe this commodity was about the cotton. Then let us await for the shading for the coffee. All right. Then also coffee starts on the very goalpost. So the very, then at the very, then join, jump using a ruler. So we therefore have a portion for the shading and the plotting for the amount of coffee product, assuming it was about the crops or crops production for. Then the other crop or other commodity, whether a crop or maybe a commodity like iron or, so we don't mind. Then finally also we have that. So should the line be straight? No, it's not a must to be straight, or it can be straight. The last plotting, when that is if the last four values within our cumulative table were all the same in amount, hence causing the. So it's not a must. Okay, very good. Now we also have to remember that we must have knowledge about tolerant about the illustration and calculation of the cumulative table or the compound table. And we said we shall have the direction of accumulation and the direction of plotting. So those were the major issues about the compound line graph. Lastly, we have the divergent. A divergent line graph, therefore we should have the positive and the negative sides. So we have the positive, just like we have the knowledge about integers. All right, very good. And the line should be shaded the same, regardless of its reflection or its moving to the positive or it's moving to the negative. So what causes this is that we must have undergone what we call calculation for the positive and the negative divergences. So please now when you look at our illustrations in the blackboard. So therefore each graph looks differently. Know their names, know how they look like, then what are the compulsory issues for each and every statistical method. With this, we just make the direct plotting a simple line graph, direct plotting of the values within the statistical table. Here, we don't use the cumulative table. We make use of the original values in the statistical table. Clear? And we must have the use of the cumulative. So we must have the use of the multiple table. Then the other here, so the multiple table must be calculated into the cumulative table or the compound table. Then the values must be first of all calculated into the positive and negative divergences. So that marks a very about the line graphs or the curve graphs. Next, in the house we have the bar graphs. The bar graphs. So comrades, where time will take us to is where we shall end, such that the other lessons will be allocated for the section B. And why are we emphasizing this is that we must all have the 26 out of 25. Therefore, I mean the worst student or candidate should therefore have the 25 out of the 25. So since this is a factual number and the direction of the facts and all of us must make the passing. So this is category number 2. Number 1 was the line graphs. Now let us look at the bar graphs. The first one in the house, we have a simple bar. How simple it is. Every commodity is given its own bar. The height depends on the amount of the values in the table, and all the bars are shaded in the same style. Then the rules governing say that we must have the omission, skipping of 1 centimeter from one bar to the other, and the fatness or the width, the thickness of the bars should all be uniform. And how uniform should they be? Of one wa. Then the number of the bars depend on the amount of the list of the items within the statistical table. Next, we have let me leave it for comparison such that we can see the differences as we continue with the rest of the other bar graphs. Next is none other than the comparative what? Bar graph. The other name for the comparative bar graph is the grouped bar graph. And another name for the group is the combined bar graph. Bars are combined in several of the groups, clear? And when should we have the two groups? That is when we have the two-dimension table, where we have the two categories, maybe imports and a column of the values for the A. Therefore, we shall not have any other group apart from having the two groups, because those are the only ones that we indeed see in our set question. Then the order of the shading of the bars should be matching. How I decided to have shaded the first bar is the same fashion or pattern in the other group. Then the second XX also here, dot, and also with the reasons that we shall have the one sharing of the same one, of the same statistical key. Below the illustrated graph, and also in the originality of the statistical table, we see that there are the same commodities in all the groups. When should we have the three groups? That is only and only when we see that the statistical table is with with the 3 dimensions or 3 categorizations, and that's when we shall have the illustration of the 3 groups. When should we have the 4? When it is of the 4 dimensions. Let me hope you understand me when I say the dimensions. Now, taking us to the other statistical bar graph, where we are throughout now making use of the bars. In the first, we're only using the line graphs. So next is the compound bar graph. Here we shall see the bars accumulating on top of each other, and the cause is of the having made the calculation for the cumulative table. When shall we have the 2 groups and also with accumulation of the bars? That is when we have the 2 dimensions in our statistical table. Having made the calculations for the cumulative table, therefore it will make the cause of the bars to compound themselves on top of each other. So that marks the end of the compound bar graph, given that the other name is the cumulative bar graph, and the other is the divided bar. Why divided? We see one bar of itself with divisions of other bars within it. Okay, hence they call it the cumulativeness. Having also made the use of the, and to remind you, in statistical illustrations where we make use of the cumulative tables, we shall therefore forego the original values because they cannot cause cumulativeness. Therefore, we shall only plot using values in the table that we shall calculate within our cumulative table. Then lastly, under the bar graphs, we have the divergent. How is it supposed to be? The rules here are, and we are saying that we must skip 1 centimeter from one bar to the other, regardless of whether it is on the side of the positive or on the side of the negatives. And also shading of the bars should be the same. And also we shall have the engulfing, the enclosure below. Then we lastly have the labeling of our commodities proportional to the bars that have been illustrated, showing the amount of the production for each of the commodities with their specific kind of the bars. So that is the divergent bar. The other name, positive and negative bar graph. This therefore takes us to the circular graphs. Circular graphs. Why circular? Because the plotting is going to be carried out in the circular format. So we also say the other name of it is known as the polar graph. Polar what? Graph. And the other name for the polar graph, we say the circular graph. So this nature of the graph is a special one in the way that we have to make the plotting in the cyclic format. And therefore, we shall have go in the middle of our graph paper where we have the 2 lines that are there. Then we shall push our campings to the last, then we do a bigger circle. Then we shall enter inside just purely one, because there are those lines that are on the graph paper. Then we shall do the second, not so. Then having done the second, what is the other? Partitioning of this graph, the circular graph into 12 portions for the 12 months in the year. So basically, by its shape, we see that it is 360. Anything that is a complete circle. Therefore, to have the 360 and to have the 12 portions because of the 12 months, we cannot set it without months being saved somewhere. For maybe farmers' activities, tourism activities, fishing activities, etc. Samples of the farming activities can be planting, harvesting, weeding, okay, fumigation, okay, and other activities that are outside the agriculture that can be done by the farmers, such as the fishing in the nearby streams. The fruits and nuts gathering. Okay, guarding of the crops. Okay, against the birds is done by the young boy. Then the repair of horse is done by the women and termites are caught for you know those issues. Now we shall have the partitioning of the Twara. Not as a result of the guesswork, we must have equal Twara portions. How equal should they be? So therefore, when you look at the shape of it, it's 360 degrees. And we have the Twara portions that we need to have. Therefore, we shall end up having the 30. It is the 30 degrees. So therefore, the 30 degrees will be the ones that we shall make as the partitioning for every portion. As we make use of the protractor, 30 degrees, 30 degrees, 30 degrees. Finally, then you turn the protractor to this other side, then you come up with the uniformity of the right size of those 12 portions that we shall then use for every month. As usual, we have the January, then February, then March, April, May, June, have the July, we have the August, September, October, November, and lastly December. So therefore, we said we shall have the stretching of our countenance to the 3 centimeters. If there are 3, therefore we shall draw the circle, the inner circle. What is its purpose? It is for the positioning and also reflection exhibition of the activities that were carried out in their said question. So they can talk of the planting of what? Maize and what? Beans is carried out in and make a cyclic kind of the illustration. And we said that we shall start from the center going outwards. We shall not make use of the freehand. We shall use the countenance to have the accuracy within our illustration. Then there is no need of the scale finding. The reasons are there are no values that are given for planting, harvesting of any or particular crops. Then when shall we make use of the scale? It's when it is time and the tune for the rainfall and the temperature. And therefore we shall have the 2 scales. You can say to have the temperature here, then also the rainfall scale. And in mind, we must know the size of our space, given that by the appearance of this circular graph, we either have the centimeters or the 5 centimeters. So then we shall carry out our plotting of the rainfall. I told you it is among the values that we have in then lastly, the temperature, then we jot. With a free hand, then finally we have a cyclic, circular plotting of all the information, regardless of being the temperature, rainfall, and the activities. Then we shall have the key. Every plotting you carry out in its right order. So also make the indication of it in our key. And also finally we shall have the scale. In this type of the statistical method, we shall not have the vertical scale and the horizontal scale, with the reasons that everything has been plotted in the circular format. So that marks the end of the circular graph. And we also said that the same information that they use to set such can also be plotted on a bar and the line graph, where we have the rainfall bars. Okay, then we also have the temperature line there. But the challenge is always how basically are we supposed to have the illustrations and plotting of the activities that were carried out. We said that still in similarity of what we were doing here. So plotting the true activities in their 2 months or period. So also here they should stretch, okay, following the setter's wish. So in this case now, it was about tree cutting, indicate bush burning, repair of horse, termites caught for food, the harvesting of okra, calabash, and melons. So this is we shall make use of the last left gaps after drawing the or illustration of the bars. So that marks the end of the circular graph, and also on the information about the bar and the line graph. And please, I said that make sure that you answer what they are requesting you to do. Do not come up with any of your wish saying that the other one is than the. So please answer what the questions are saying. Next in the house, we have the divided rectangles. Divided rectangles. Now, number one, under the divided rectangles, we have a simple divided rectangle. How simple it is. So in this, we are supposed to have the appearance of the illustrated rectangle. So it is a rectangle by shape when you look at it. How? We have the only two sides that are equal. Not so. Only two sides that are, this is equal to this, and also this is only equal to. It's not like a square that has the four sides that are equal. Now we are yet to make or produce or make a production of the squares within a square. So given that we have a one-dimension table. So that means we shall have one plotting. And in one of the styles we said, as you struggle to have the scale, so you can convert this to percentages if in their originality form by the setter, they were not in the percent. Then we all know that percentage adds up to 100. And we all know all scales start from the zero. Now, how basically are you going to have you to reach at the 100 in a distance of the 20 centimeters? We therefore said that in our rule here, let us try to use the 10 here and here the 20, and our title where raised up. All right. So we shall add on the 10 after 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters. Then finally we reach the 80, then 9.5 and 100. That means we're adding on the 10 after 2 centimeters. So finally we shall see that the units for each smaller bar or the value for each smaller bar is 1. Why 1? Because we're adding 10 in a distance of per 2 centimeters that are made up of the 10 small box. Therefore 10 divided by 10, you therefore get 1. So this is the 1 unit that we shall have within our own belly heads where we cannot see, because we should not see you telling us. So what we only need you to tell us is about the praise for the vertical scale and the horizontal, where it deserves. But in this simple divided rectangle, we only make use of the horizontal scale. So coming up with the illustrated and the drawn divided rectangles, we shall see you carrying out the shading, separations, and we see you coming up with the key. Now, what is our outcome? When you look at our outcome, we see that the rectangle has been divided into other rectangles. So that marks the end of a simple divided rect. How simple it was is that we see the only one plotting per, and also on the use of the horizontal scale. To take you back, much as we have used the percentage. So simply say maybe crop production in million what? Tons. Because these were the original scale units that were given to us by the setter. This is just a tactic of you avoiding to handle or to plot using the bigger values. So next is we have the compound divided rectangle. So in its speciality, we shall see that this time now we are going to have both the vertical and the horizontal scale, and we shall add on the 10 after 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, and these are always indicated to you by the setters, where we shall have them in percentages, and it is only these that are always the bigger values. Therefore, the bigger values will always be in the used for horizontal, while the percentage values will only be used for the vertical. So values that are here, and here are the ones that we use for the vertical plot, while the ones that are here are the ones that we use on the whole horizontal. So that marks the end of the compound divided rectangle, given that we shall see several of the rectangles, okay, created both vertically and also horizontally. So up to so that is the outcome appearance is therefore illustrated to you on the blackboard. So those are the rules that govern the. Now we have the other statistical method known as the population pyramids. Basically, how many types did we handle? 3. We had to look at the simple divided rectangle. Then the other was we had to look at the simple population pyramid. Then the other was the superimposed population pyramid, or the other name known as the comparative population pyramid. Rules governing are: we must have the age set, or can also become to be the years. Clear? Can also become to be, we have the population pyramids. The other name for the population pyramids are called what? Age and sex graphs, or triangular population graphs. So now we have the arrangement of the age. And I said the middle of every bar, it's where we carry out the indication of the age set, 5 to 9, 10 to 4, 15 to 9, like that. So up to maybe we have the 80 plus or 70 plus or 90 plus. So now we shall have each, okay, with 1 bar and with a thickness of 1 centimeter. So is there a situation where one can stretch beyond the others? Yes, if such a country's population structure indicates that a particular age group has more people than the rest of the other age groups. Are we there? It can also be of such of the outcome if those are the values that are given to us as we carry out the drawing. Now we have to say population in thousands or in millions, depending on the setter's wish. Then also this side population. Values that are this are also used on the side of the female. Side of the female. This is the side of the male. Shading format is the same. It's the same. White is a simple population pyramid. So we shall have the vertical scale. 1 centimeter represents the 4 years, or one can say represents one age group. The other horizontal scale, 1 centimeter represents maybe 20 people. If it was the 2020, that was of the additions per the centimeter for the scale on both the male and the female. So that marks the end of the population pyramid. Next is the superimposed population pyramid. How superimposed it is that we have comparison basis and issues. So we shall see that in the 1 centimeter, there are 5 small bubbles. Now we shall have the middle 3. Okay? Used for particular. Then the 1 up, 1 down, 1 up, 1 down, 1 down. When I say 1 up, 1 down, I mean the 1 small box up and 1 small box down. So this is the something that we should keep on doing on each and every age group, on both the male and on the side of the female. Now come up with a multiple key to show us the first shading. It is for what? Maybe 1980. Then the population for 2000 with XX. Lastly, under population pyramids is the third, which we said that we shall make use of it. Within the 5 small box, we shall have how many in the middle? In the middle. How many in the middle? This one, let us see. Then, one up, then the last M will be shortened. Very good. So we shall have the inner one, then the one up, one down, and down with the up, then the unshaded or shaded with the 6. So when you count these are therefore 5 small ball, M, even sharp, inner, eta. So that should be the pattern. However, we might find the inner overstretching than the rest of the R of the others. All right. So it's on the mass that the inner should always be engulfed. Clear? So that is that. So that marks the end of the population pyramids. This depends on the appearance of the data within the statistical table that has been set and given to you to use in your exams. Lastly, we have the windrows. We have the windrows. We have the windrows. Mr. or Mr. Sender. So we have the windrows. The windrows, when you talk about the windrows, which is the type of the statistical method where we make use of the wind speed, wind count, velocity, amplitude of wind per compass direction for a number of what? For a number of days. So therefore we have the first one is a simple windrows. We have a simple windrows. So we are saying that we have the two types, basically two types of the windroses. So we have a simple windrows. Then we shall also make the understanding of or looking at the compound or complex or superimposed windrow. We make use of the directions. We have the north-south A, north A. Then we have the west, then the north A. So then we have the direction and also information about the speed of wind. It can be in units of percentages. It can also be in units of thousands, etc. by the wish of the setter. If this is 3, it can be 10, 14, 19, 20, it may be 30, 39. Now, make a keen look at the study and understanding of this statistical table. When you look at it, every compass direction has only one figure. That means it is 1D dealing 1 plotting per compass direction. So we have the said or the given compass directions. We have the north, we have the south, we have the west, we have the east. So in this now, looking at the table, we have the north is already there. We have the south is also already there. We have the east, we have the west. So what is missing out is the north, east, and the northwest. So basically, where should we make our plotting? So I said that always they have it at the now within the 90. Therefore, we have the 45. Half of the 90 is 45. Therefore, don't just guess that it should be there. So in this case now, indicate for us this big, the northwest. Then we have the northeast. The northeast also at an angle of 45 degrees, but do not indicate the degrees. So we shall also have the smaller inner circle that is being drawn. So we shall get our canvas. Then we draw the inner circle, basically touching the 1 centimeter. So this is for the purpose that it should give us the starting point for our scale on every compass direction. Clear? To avoid the small bars congesting, okay, within the center. So in this case, also the second part is if we have the data or information about the wind calm. Are we there? So, and I said that the values or the units for the calm should never be used or participate in the scale finding as we look for the scale for use in the rest of the other compass directions. Then I said that the calm, if it is there, purely plot it in the center, meaning that the wind was not taking or blowing in any direction, you couldn't tell. And even the keen study by all the geographers, we do not have on the compass a direction called the wind or called the calm. So we have basically now carried out the plotting for the calm. The other challenging and the other assignment and exercise is of plotting the rest of the other directions, values. Then as usual, in all our scales, as we practice, we say highest divided by the space. The answer you get, then what do you do? You remember that? Then we said we shall never have scales in the decimals. We should have flat bar, and we should basically mainly make use of the even numbers. So now coming to the north, if it is a period between 0 and 1. Then I said, having got the height, the next thing is one small box this side, one small box this other side. Then you share over graph paper. North is done. Then we have the south. We have the south. So now also in the south, so one smaller bar over graph paper. So then the height is there, then carry out the same shading. So also plotting for the south is done. We have the east with whatever for 14. Between what and what? Then one smaller bar up and one smaller bar down. Then we carry out then the same for the north. But for some compass directions, such as the southeast, southwest, that are opposite in the draft or with the graph paper. A graph paper is basically made up of both vertical scales and the horizontal, so vertical lines and the horizontal lines. For some compass directions that are opposite of its draft, we said we shall demarcate our own centimeters. So therefore, we shall indicate carry the same scale values that we have been using for the plotting of the rest of the other compass directions. Then that is how we shall come overcome such a challenge. So we shall also have, like any other statistical method, the key, and also we shall have the scale, okay? Without saying vertical and also without saying horizontal. So that marks the end of a simple wind roads. How simple it is, one plotting per compass direction. Because of the table, every direction only has one bar, therefore one B dealing. Lastly, under the wind roses is none other than a complex wind rods, or a compound wind rods, or a superimposed wind rods. So we have the same. We start with the major compass directions. So we shall have the smaller circle indicating the compass direction. This is the north, the south, of the E. We have the west, we have the south A, southeast, and the rest of the. Then basically here we said we shall have the one smaller bar. You share. Then here, 1.5. Also, you indicate. Then here, 2. 3. Or 2.5. Then, so you can see that there is a nature of cumulativeness. Therefore, how best shall we cause the illustration to cause the cumulativeness is by coming up with a cumulative table. So we shall have the same appearance order. of our plotting in every campus direction that is on or among the ones that are in the statistical table. Then come up with a multiple key. A multiple key will have the several of such kind of the illustrations, and therefore tell us, was the first about speed of wind? Was the other about velocity of wind? Was the other about the amplitude? The other was about what? Frequency or amplitude of 12 greater than or less than the. So therefore, we shall also have the scale as usual without saying vertical and horizontal. If there is message or information about count, we shall also indicate it in the center. Therefore, the speciality in this is that we shall have the accumulative term, because when you look at the outcome illustration, it reflects or it exhibits the cumulativeness, like the compound bar graph. But the difference is that there is no uniformity in the thickness of the bars, but there is the separation and differences in the variations of the thickness of the bars as you move away from the center, with the reasons that as you move away from the center, space keeps on increasing. So that marks the end of the complex windrows and also a simple windrows. Those are basically the two windrows that are always handled. Next in the house, we have the pie charts. And last we shall have the repeated symbols. Now, pie charts are also called what? Also called divided circles. But there should be a keen understanding about the pie charts. There are quite a number of them, okay? And with their unique appearance and illustrations. But we shall understand all these pie charts by saying that they are in the basically three categories. What are those three categories? We have those that are complete pie chart, that in their shape, they are multiplied by 360. Are we there? Very good. Therefore, they are complete bar, they are complete circles. Now, the word pi, therefore, takes us to the use of the digraphs. Even if tomorrow is draw a pie graph, the word pi is sounding stronger than the word graph. Therefore, we shall know that we must come up with the illustration of a statistical method where we must make use of the digraphs. So we have those that have pie shapes. The other name is also said to be of the semicircles or half pie charts. They are D-shaped. But however, all pie charts start from there. Now we also have what is called to be of the, or said to be of the tri charts or tri-circles. So we have the shape. They are multiplied out of the 120 digraphs. So X out of the total times the 112 and 20. So therefore, can we first now look at those that are complete pie charts? So it takes us to the comparative pie charts. Now, how comparative they are is that we must have what is more than one. So we should have a two-dimension table to come up with the two. They should not be attached to each other. They should be separate. We do not have the word combat. Very good. So they can also be three in the same size. They can also be of how many? 4. Clear? In the same. Why in the same size? We have not yet seen the word proportional. So we have the complete pie charts, which are 2, 3, 4. Why 4? Because of the 4 dimension. Then last we shall see those that bear the word proportional. Means in statistics of geography that we must first of all determine the size. What size do you determine? The radius. How the radius is by use of the formula area equals to pi r square Or we say square root of the total divided by the pi. The pi means the 3.14, which is out of the 22 out of the 7. Therefore, we shall have the one small and the other big with R on the sides. The R on the side, which are the centimeters. They can also be 2. They can also be 3 in different size with the R's on the sides. With the R on the centimeters on the side, they can also be 4. Depending on the nature, the draft of and the message within the statistical table. So we said we shall use the 2 formulas as we struggle to come up with the different sides. Now, understand it and master this, that whenever pie charts is more than 1, it is more than 1, therefore what you need to do is to indicate on the sides each is for what. Is it imports and A? Is it of yards? Are they continents? You must indicate on the side whether those with proportion and those without proportional. So all these are multiple pie charts. Next, we have those that are in a shape of a half a circle that is 180. So we can also have the multiple of them, which are 2. The main imports and A, Uganda, Kenya. 19A, 2/3, if at all they use the south, maybe Africa, the North America, if at all they use the categorizations in terms of continents. So you can also have them being 3. They can be how many? 4. Not combined. Are we there? Multiple. They have not yet said draw a combined semicircular proportion divided by chart. Not yet. So we have them being the 2, the 3, the 4. We can also have when they are of the radius with the R, one bigger than the other. They can be 2 because of the 2-dimension test. They can be 3 because of the 3-dimension test. They can also be where we might have a situation, the scenario of combining the 2. Why combining the 2? Is because they have told us to combined semi-circular proportional divided pie chart. Combined, that means there are 2. In the other, we shall have the floating clockwise and in the other anti-clockwise. So they have the same twisting point. So therefore tell us this is for road network, Revenet, or New York Port, and maybe Port Mombasa. So in this, there are 2 issues you need to understand. The first, having cited the word proportional, we must now therefore start by calculations or determination of the radius by the said formulas. Then after that, fill in the information of the degrees having multiplied by 180 because of their shapes. Why have you then decided to combine them? The question says, do a combine. Lastly, under pie charts, we have the tricircles. Under tricircles, they can also be 2. They can be 3. Remaining the shape of the tri means 3. So when you get 360 divided by 3, therefore you come up with 120 degrees. Everything is to fit within the shape of 120. And also indicate on the sides Uganda, Kenya. If at all they are countries, they can be 3 in the same side. They can be 4 in the same side. They can be over the different side because of the word proportional area we have the radius, and under the tricircles we said that we can also have in their end extreme study. We can also have them being combined and in proportional. So one is bigger than the other. Depending on the total values, but by not guessing, also make use of the area equals pi r square, and also indicating whether this is for Uganda and the other is for Tanzania. So, and also with the radius. They can also be 3. We can never have them combined when they are 4. Reasons are that the 120 times 3 automatically you reach the 360. You can never have them before. You can either have them as 2 or you can have them when they are 3. So that marks the end of the pie charts under the categories of complete pie charts without seeing the word semi or without seeing the word half anywhere. So think of pie charts that are full. Then when you cite or see the words such as the semi, the half, think of the pie charts that should be half. Then those that are of the tries, so therefore they should be the trie circles multiplied by 110 degrees. Next in the house, our last is none other than the repeated C symbols. Repeated C symbols. Now, repeated symbols, we said. Repeated symbols. Yes. Repeated C symbols. The word repeat means to do the same. So when you are to repeat the class, therefore we have the repeated C symbols. We said that the ruling factor here, we must say let the constant be. We must therefore make use of the constant direct, straight away. So the constants come basically from the even numbers. Are we there? We have the 2, we have the 4, the C, the A, the 10. These keep on increasing, increase. And I said basically always start from these ones. Then it is when these ones have refused that you will now move backwards. Now we said that the other NP, take note of what symbols to use. They should be matching with the nature of the commodity. It is the fish. So come up with the symbol of fish. If it is and the uniformity of the size and appearance of the symbols should be, don't go big. A symbol is always something small. Then if you are to have the tourist, it is the tourist. We have the symbols of tourists. And this will be in amount depending on the use of the constant that you have used. And the constant value should be that value that is constantly being used to out. Then we also said we can leave with the pictorial. These are all pictorial C symbols. We can also use the letter C symbols, but not in the fashion of chemistry. So therefore it is the gold. The gold we shall use the capital G. And we said we should make use of the capital A. We only opt for the second smaller A when it is the same commodity but with comparativeness that will be needed. So the FF for the fish. The CC for copper. Although in chemistry, copper, they normally use the Cu. For gold, they use the Au. So for us, we shall not go into the chemistry. Leave our geography, get your D1 in the chemistry, the BCG students. Therefore, in geography, make use of what is supposed to be the true principles and the rules for. So that marks the end of the repeated symbols, where we have the simple repeated symbols, and also we have them being called the quantitative. Quantitative, that means it is one symbol that in the fashion that will be used throughout. The answer you get gives you the number of the symbols for you to indicate, and also to indicate or put the cause as on the sides. And we also have what is termed to be of the non-quantitative repeated symbols. Those are multiple symbols, where you see that maybe every country or every town, you have numerous C. You have the EE for engineering, and at the same time, you also have to indicate the what? The FF for maybe for furniture, and also the GG for gold for each and every country and for every. So therefore, come up with a multiple key. So that marks the end of our initiation, our genesis, as we are laying the foundation for Geography A-Level Paper 2. And it is of my wish to get back to the compulsory, because we know compulsories are ever compulsory, and it is a must for all of you to be compulsory with the passing such a number if you have the better grade. And I know that some of you were handling them in the issues where you might not have been the present for some of the lessons, but it is a mandatory of you to be there for every lesson that is always indicated to you in the timetable. And the next time we shall be looking at the section B. And I will start with the approach. And I will start with the approach, because most of the questions in section B call for a writing. These are a few of differentiate distinguished questions that are not calling for the question introduction, the standpoint, the first presentation of the points, the however, and also the conclusions. So that marks the end of our interaction for this session, Geography Paper 2, as you await for Job 1. So thanks for being part of the lesson, and we shall continue from there. God bless you. Have a nice evening.
Excuse me, teacher. Excuse me, teacher. Excuse me, teacher.
Yes, dear.
Teacher, we were having some arguments on the calculating of the radius. Wow, like that square root, does it also cover the pi, or we only square the total?
Formula for calculations of the radius. The radius, the pie charts also have the radius. Then also semicircles have the radius. All have the radius. You can see this has the radius, even if it is the complete. Even if it is the half, it also has the radius, not the diameter. Even the tri also has. Remember that it is the radius that gives us the size as you rotate your cam, only to end at the 120. In summary, that formula for the area equals to pi r squared or square root of the total divided by the pi is for all pie charts, regardless whether it is complete pie charts or half pie charts or tri pie charts. There are also pie charts. Therefore, the formulas are the same when determining the radius. What is the purpose of the radius? Is to give us the outcome size for our pie charts. Any other question? Ekola wonna, formula zikola wonna.
Teacher,
Student?
teacher, the formula for finding the proportional tri-pie charts or semi-pie charts, for the formula, does the square root cover the total only, or the total and the pi?
What you should know, have you understood that all the pie charts, regardless of their shapes, that have the word proportional, we must determine their radius, and there are only two formulas that we have seen. Clear? Now, having said that the radius, are you with me?
Yes, teacher.
It is the formula that gives us the radius, and the radius, as you measure from your ruler with the compass, it will therefore give us the size. It is the same formula. Yes, please. Yeah. Oh, the pi. As you're finding the radius, we are saying area equals to pi r squared. Okay? Area equals to the total, while the pi is the constant. Which one is?
Asking if this covers all this, or it only covers the total.
The square root only covers the total. So therefore, basically, so Kanga, first always don't do things together. Just only have enter square root of the total. Which total? The one that is already down, whether given to you or not given to you. Bomadi research, when you are done, the answer, you press on your button of the calc, answer, divided by the pi. Answer, assuming the answer was 64 or 164, divided by the pi, which is, are we there? So the square root does not continue. Have you understood me? Are we together? So have this separate the rings. We shall not have square root, square root, square. It is only square root of the total. Even the way it speaks, then after divide by the pi, without involving in the square root. Together. Have you got me?
Yes, teacher. Thank you, teacher.
Yes?
Teacher.
You didn't?
Yes.
Yes, teacher.
Have you understood me?
Yes, teacher.
All right. Any other question? If there is no any other question, have a nice evening. We shall continue from there. Next Monday, God bless you.
Thank you, teacher.
God bless you too.
You can write in there in the secretary of which doctor. All right.
What did I say?
Get out, get it out.
But gadgets are no woman. Trying to
But what you can it out. We've already.
Good afternoon. Huh? Hey,
Good afternoon, teacher.
how are you?
Good afternoon, teacher.
How are you?
We are fine, teacher.
Fine, teacher.
Okay, let me. Can we have 5 minutes? Then we start off. Is it fine, or we start off right now?
Yes.
We first can rest for some 5 minutes.
Yes. This is Jabuka.